Mina Kimes. Mina Kimes is going against the grain. She's in I honestly think Coach JB is in her head. She's now saying that I think quarterback play has never been better than we are right now today. And this sent QB play used to be, this sent JB's head into explosion. I think to some degree, she's trolling Coach JB, or Coach JB's in her head. She's saying foolish things, trying to be provocative, but also trying to trigger JB. He's been hounding her. Have been hounding her. You've been hounding her. Mina Kimes, the expert analyst. Well, you're on JB's show. Mina Kimes, the expert analyst on the National Football League, the little Asian lady that grew up at left tackle, I think, in Pee Wee football out in California or somewhere. You think she's being serious here when she's saying QB play has never been better?
I think she is. I don't think she knows any better. Look, everyone's entitled to an opinion, but I will take that opinion as seriously as the knowledge that comes with it. And look, Coach JB was ahead of the curve by at least 2, if not 3 years. He played the position, he coached the game, and people say, well, it's just him. Okay, but you and I have noticed this, Jason, in the last few months. Guys like Kurt Warner, who's only in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and went to a couple of Super Bowls, who breaks down this tape, doesn't look at analytics and numbers. He actually looks at the game and can explain it, have said, man, this quarterback play is bad. By the way, he's not the only one. And you just look at the breadth of how the consensus has changed from, wow, all this game's wide open, everyone's running spread, RPO, to, boy, these games are kind of hard to watch. And basically, games are hard to watch when you have bad quarterback play. So look, Mina Kimes can have her opinion. Coach JB and I and many other guys will reserve the right to vehemently disagree with it.
TJ, but I actually think she's trolling us. She's like someone will send her a clip of this and she'll laugh and say, this is exactly what they're talking about me. I think she has a right to have this level of confidence. I think she's got ESPN by the balls. I think they're paying her nearly $2 million. She's DEI. She feels like she's got the wind at her back. And it's like, yeah, I'm just going to say things just to irritate these group of sexist pigs like Coach JB, Jason Whitlock, Steve Kim. I think she's having a good laugh as we react to her just saying silly things. And she's bulletproof.
10% of the pie is what you're talking about, I think. 5 to 10%.
Oh, I agree with you, but you could, that can be your read. I actually think it's 75% of the pie, but go ahead.
Yeah, my read, I think it's 5 to 10% in my view. I think the Charles Barkley quote about analytics comes to mind where he says, that's crap, that's for idiots, and it's created by a bunch of guys who ain't never played the game and they never got a girl in high school. She's an analytics person, and she sits there and looks at completion percentage is 73%. Look how good these people are. And all day, every day, because she doesn't know how to look at film, she can't even tell you what cover 2 is. She's one of the people who thinks cover 2 should be outlawed, I think. And she looks down and says, look at the stats. This is the best it's ever been. I think she's that dumb.
Let's be honest. The insurance model is broken. Crowd Health puts your health care back in your hands. Use the promo code FEARLESS at joincrowdhealth.com. That's joincrowdhealth.com, promo code FEARLESS.
I think the game has changed more than the quarterback position has diminished. I mentioned this a few weeks ago. I think that we put this brand on young quarterbacks having to be the franchise quarterback and that they should earn that position as opposed to being labeled that position. Look what's happening in Chicago right now. We don't allow these quarterbacks to come in. But look at last night's game. Sean McVay is that the head coach of the Rams. Yeah. Matt Stafford. How long is he was a first-round draft pick in 2009. Sean McVay, one of the offensive geniuses. Look how terrible this offense looks. I think the game has changed. This guy's had every reason to show you why a veteran quarterback and a great offensive coordinator should be dominating a league. If the quarterback play is so bad, he should be outstanding, and I just don't see it across the board.
Here's what's happened, though, Butter, and this is why she's wrong, because the game has changed. They don't practice near as much. And so if you don't practice, you're not going to be near as good. And that's what people that actually know the game are seeing. And so the offenses are more limited. When you don't have actual practice time, you can't do live reps. You dumb down the playbook because you just don't have time to practice.
Yep.
It takes, didn't Malcolm Gladwell do some book where he talks about you got to do things in rep like 3,000 times, or you got to, in order to develop a high level of skill at something. And they don't do that in the NFL. They don't do it in the NBA. They don't, I would imagine they don't do it in Major League Baseball. They've reduced practice. They reduced the time and preparation. Now everything, you watch all the videos and it's guys working out in the gym, sculpting themselves. So they are more athletic, they jump higher and all this other stuff, but in terms of the actual skill that it takes to play the position, bad technique wins. I watch, some talented offensive linemen play with no technique, and that's part of the problem with the left tackle for the Kansas City Chiefs, who's an embarrassment. And is the biggest detriment to that team in protecting Patrick Mahomes. His technique's horrible, but when does he have time to practice it? When does he have time to practice against live competition? It's not there. So, to expect Mina Kimes, who's in her mid-30s, her depth of knowledge of the NFL and, having evaluated what went on in the past, she can't do any of that. It's not really her fault. She's too young. She's been put in a position she hasn't earned. She's there for DEI. I think she's figured it out. Like, I can't win, so I might as well troll these guys. I'm getting paid a couple of $1 million, probably a 5-year contract. And she's like, look, all of this money is stolen. That's why there's no respect for the position. In terms of Jamel Hill, when she had that job, the 6 or whatever, and they're paying her $2.5, $3, $4 million or whatever. It's just stolen money, so she had no respect for the position, and they'll just say and do anything. I honestly believe, Steve, 75% of this is her just laughing out loud at all of us.
Maybe. There's a lot of self-pity with her, which you've pointed out, but let's be honest. When it comes to the football panelists on ESPN and the guys that play the game, like Dan Orlovsky, Damian Woody, and Rex Ryan, who coached it, and if they're sitting around talking shop about how do you attack a cover 3, and if you're running trips to the wide side, those guys could tell you, and they can get on the board. She couldn't do that. Do you really think, sincerely, like, Mina, come here. Yeah, we have a question for you. We're running a 1-back set, but we're going to run a diamond formation.
I'm going to correct you.
What do you think? Come on, they don't do any of that. They don't. They probably asked her to get a cup of coffee. Let's be honest with it, okay?
There's no question. Hold on. There's no question she doesn't know anything about football. But, Steve, I want to be transparent here. 80, 90% of the players don't know football. They know their position, but they do not know football at all.
The analysts, you're saying?
Right.
Football players.
Right.
And so then they turn into analysts, and they still don't know football. And I'm gonna say Damian Woody's name. I don't know if this. Yeah, I don't know if this applies to Damian Woody, but it would not shock me if all he knows is left guard and center or whatever position he played in the NFL. He may know nothing about tight end play. He may not be able to identify cover 2, trips, or quarters coverage, any of that stuff. I know defensive linemen, and this is why they don't make good head coaches. All they know is defensive line play.
CGAP.
Yeah,
I got CGAP.
They know nothing about linebackers or any of that. But go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the other thing is, look, say what you want about Coach JB. All I know is this: he can go to a football practice and teach people how to play the game of football, the schematics of it, the fundamentals, how to line up. I don't think Mina Kimes can do that. So that's a fact.
Well, this is this is why it's important to have quarterbacks, one, not women, but also Dan Orlovsky can break the game down for you. These quarterbacks, Kurt Warner, when he stands up there, can break the game. I love, one of my favorite things on Twitter is Kurt Warner when he says, let me show you guys what's happening with this new quarterback and what really happened. You think he sucked. I thought he was great this weekend, and he actually breaks down the film for you. There's very few people outside the quarterback position that can do that at all. In fact, to the point where it's like the best analysts are often backup quarterbacks. Chase Daniel's doing a pretty good job right now on NFL Network. It is hard for anybody else to do it. You certainly... The second tier would be the Damian Woodies. At least guys who played the game. You know, I don't know the game like a quarterback, but I can certainly tell you coverages. I can certainly tell you blitz screens. I can tell you triggers, right? I don't know that much about offensive line play. I'd say, hey, Whitlock, what's happening over here at left guard?
TJ.
Even for me, though. Go ahead, Steve. Go ahead.
Yeah, speaking of Chase Daniels, he has a YouTube channel where he actually does breakdowns using the All-22. And he'll break things down schematically and what happened, what's the proper read, did he make the proper read, was it the bad read, and why did this play end up that way? It's one thing to be able to read statistics. You have to be able to actually know the schematics of football. I could read statistics all day. I've done it my whole life. Doesn't mean I know anything, but at least I admit it.
I'm gonna once again give her this defense. She's been around these football players turned analysts. She can't say it, but I suspect she realized, like, hey, some of these guys only know a tiny bit more than me. I'm just telling you, did anybody remember when Brett Favre was on the show and talking about playing quarterback and how little he knew? He was being very honest and very transparent. You can have so much talent at this that you don't have to know anything. You really don't. You're just super talented. I played with some guys that were like this kind of talented. And then there's a handful of guys that actually have to know the game and understand the game. It's generally by middle linebackers and safeties, generally understand the game from a big picture point of view. And centers, because they call out the defenses, and a lot they used to in my era. They used to call out the protection schemes, and obviously the quarterbacks. But running backs usually don't know anything. Wide receivers usually don't know anything. I've already said defensive linemen, sometimes pass rushers, corners sit out on an island, don't know much. Again, this is where Dion kind of breaks the mold. And that was another reason I was suspicious of him, the position he played. But anyway, we're going to leave Mina Kimes alone. Help us grow the Fearless Army. Pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with all your fearless friends.